Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with a new show. We're going to try this probably 3, maybe 4 times a week. Lunchtime live, we've called it, where obviously we round up kind of the news from the Villa verse, probably from the night before, and also the kind of morning roundup, and just obviously have a chat, get your comments in, and kind of just talk on all things Villa. Probably quick half hour show, just to kind of, as I said, round up the news of the latest goings on at Villa. So before we get started, Kev will be joining us very shortly. Please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are well on the road to 3,500 subscribers. I think we're like 25, 30 away from 3,300. So yeah, like, subscribe, get your comments in, get your thoughts in. We're gonna obviously focus on our new signing, Kosta Nedeljkovic. Nedeljkovic, that's the one. So we're going to focus on him a little bit. Obviously, the Morgan Rogers saga. I didn't realise I would say that about a young up-and-coming Middlesbrough player. But yeah, the saga continues. It shows you how quiet this January transfer window has been when there's a saga over a Championship player. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the bond with Real Union, with one of the Villa players potentially going out on loan there, and more players looking to go out there, and also rounding up a couple of the other rumours that don't seem to be going away. And yeah, Jadon Philogene-Bidace also spoke in the press about Aston Villa. So let's get the comments in. Rub's in the house. Hey, Mo. Max is in. Good afternoon, Max. Dave as well. Michael's in the house. Rachel's in the house as well. So great to have you all on board. So yeah, as I said last night, the news was announced officially. Obviously, we kind of got the gist of it on the weekend. Nedeljkovic was had the medical, I think, on Friday, and then it was announced last night officially, when he must have flown over from Belgrade. And yeah, there he was, pictured with Monchi signing his contract. Undisclosed fee, as they always tend to be. I believe it's around about 8 million in terms of the deal that it could rise to. 18 years old, really, really high prospect, meant to be one of the brightest young prospects across Europe, which is fantastic that we've managed to get him. Obviously goes back on loan there for the rest of the season and joins up with the squad in July. So he'll continue his game time, and obviously part of doing that deal was to in agreement with that. And yeah, obviously Villa announced it last night. Product of the youth academy at Red Star, and then come through. And yeah, he obviously made all the right noises about being very, very excited to join the club. It's a massive opportunity for him. But it's interesting to see that we are signing, these players, sort of 18, 19-year-old, or looking to kind of sign these type of players across, Eastern Europe, or, across far and wide. And, you can obviously get value there, because if you think maybe an 18, 19-year-old who's playing first team football in this country is going to fetch a huge fee compared to what you can get over in Europe. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether he pushes Matty Cash for a first team spot after in pre-season, or what happens with Matty Cash. I know it's been a lot of debate on this channel about how good is he, are we going to look to replace, and also kind of for this season. It looks like the Konsa Cash partnership at right back on a swap over is going to continue. Obviously, Kane Kessler-Hayes has come back from Plymouth. He's going to challenge for a first team spot. Does that mean that he's going to get his opportunities? Guys, let me know your thoughts. But yeah, Mark's in the house as well. Ian's in the house as well. Great to have you on board. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on the situation at right back, because it's a great signing for the future, Nedeljkovic, and it looks like a number of clubs are interested in him. But it doesn't really solve our right back issue for this season, and it doesn't look like we're gonna go with getting anyone else in. Does Kessler-Hayden come in and do well? I don't know. He seemed to be okay at Plymouth. They didn't seem to be very happy about letting him go, but ultimately it's a Championship player a championship player coming in, or player with championship experience coming in that is not necessarily used to be the Premier League. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Max says, have a suspicion that he'll be that Juan Foyth type player that Emery wants. Well, look, I mean, this Nedeljkovic apparently has clock speeds. He's extremely quick. So that solve the issue of the pace down the right hand side that we've got with Moreno down the left hand side. But yeah, it's great that he's 18 and he's playing first team football. But you know, the Premier League is a different beast. You know, we know that already. But look, best of luck to him. It's great that we've got our first signing in the window, albeit it's going to be introduced later on in the season. It's not going to impact us immediately. But yeah, we'll see whether anything else materializes. Secondly, obviously this Morgan Rogers situation continues. Apparently, we've had 2 bids rejected. They value him between the 10 and 15 million pound mark. And Villa allegedly, you know, Emery had him as his #1 priority in January, which seems a little bit bizarre. But you know, I did a feature on him a couple of days ago. Obviously, came through West Brom Academy, then went to Man City, went on loan at Lincoln, did really well, signed for Middlesbrough. And actually, one of my friends and podcast fans, Rob Hickman, said he actually came from Hallis Hawks, who I used to play for when I was a kid, and he played there for under 6s and under 7s, and I think he scored something like 62 goals in one season or something. So yeah, they saw the talent in him at Hallis Hawks in Halesowen. So yeah, really good that he came through a Sunday League side. But yeah, I mean, are we going to sign? Are we going to push? You know what these things are like. Apparently, Middlesbrough are now becoming increasingly frustrated with Villa, and they don't need to sell. But obviously, that they are going to do that. He signed a fairly long-term deal, and he's only been with them for 6 months. So they're going to play hardball, and I would imagine some sort of deal in and around 10 to 12 million fee, and then you know add-ons for qualifying for Champions League, goal bonuses, things like that. So it's going to be an interesting one with Rodgers to see whether we push it through. You know, they've got Chelsea tonight, so they're not going to want to do any deals tonight. They'll certainly want to keep him focused on the game tonight, and not have him kind of distracted by the noise around him potentially signing for Aston Villa. Although I'm sure he will be keen to potentially get that deal done. What he will bring to the team is interesting, because we're going to talk Philogene Bidace later. And it's just interesting to see why he would go for someone like Morgan Rogers and not necessarily keep someone like Philogene Bidace or Cameron Archer or Aaron Ramsey. Yes, we know that the manoeuvrings of FFP are there, and we can see now how teams will try and manipulate it. But it just seems to me, and Kev, I'll bring you in, it just seems to me that Morgan Rogers, yes, he's probably got a real potential, but is his ceiling as high as an Aaron Ramsey? Is his ceiling as high as a Jadon Philogene Bidace? And then we're spending 10 to 15 million pounds on him. What are your thoughts on it, Kev?
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it, really? And I appreciate, by the way, hi, everybody. I appreciate it's busy morning to work, but if I can get on with you for 20 minutes to talk about the Villa, Rich, then
it's always good. Always good.
Even better. I guess it's just easy to say, trust Monchi, trust Unai. And that's why we've got Monchi in place. And I think the thing is, as has been proven with the whole badge situation, good day to Australia. You've just got to give the club a bit of trust sometimes. And I feel like the minute they do one thing which whispers get out there, it's like, oh my God, this is a bad decision, that's a bad decision. No, we've got to give people an opportunity. We've seen it with Bailey, me included. We've seen it with Zaniolo, and maybe he won't come good. And we've seen plenty of situations in the past where players don't ever reach the potential heights we wanted them to reach. But we clearly had a need for FFP to do what we did in the summer with some of those younger players. Philogene came out recently, didn't he, Bidace, and said that he didn't want to leave, which is understandable.
Yeah, we'll talk him a little bit in a sec. We'll talk it now as we talk about Rodgers, because I think it links in quite well.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the question is Rodgers better than Philogene and better than Ramsey? is the type of player he is. I mean, from what I've seen of him, he does seem like he's pretty direct and he's got some good pace and he's got something about him. But you've got to think, if they're going to let go of those players to then bring another player in, they've got to have a bit of a plan for it, unless it purely is a money-making thing and they want to sell him for 20 million in 2 years. But look at the squad now. We need someone that can impact the squad for this second half of the season, because whether it's the FA Cup, the obviously the Conference League, and obviously the Premier League position, finishing as high as we can, we need all the firepower we can garner now. And they've said, the rumour is, that he's our key forward target for the window. So they got to know something that we don't. So watch this.
Exactly. And it might point to the fact that, you know, we've seen some of the details in the Zaniolo kind of loan deal, that once he plays a certain amount of games, it then triggers the kind of clause that we've got in to potentially buy him for. And then obviously he's making noises about going back to Italy with Fiorentina. So the profile of the player, I know they're not exactly the same, but Rodgers is quite a tall, you know, rangy, you know, quite strong, quite quick, you know, powerful with the ball. Is he a similar type of player to a Zaniolo? In which case we're saying, right, let's cast aside Zaniolo. Let's say, you know, you did okay in your loan, you didn't quite hit the heights that we want. Let's bring in Morgan Rodgers, who's going to be a homegrown player, so adds to the English quota. We get him for 10 million. We can potentially bring him through, sell him for more money, or he's going to be, you know, and he potentially is a success at Villa, and he's kind of got a similar profile in that, you know, strong, powerful, can score goals, can set up goals. Is it that option?
Well, we've got to look at the output, haven't we, from some of these players? I mean, the one thing that's really helped us this season has been, obviously, we've got goals from a few areas. Obviously, McGinn's got goals, Luiz has got goals, not just penalties. Bailey, Diaby, even though he's been a little bit off it lately, has still contributed quite a few goals this season. If you look at some of the other teams in the league and what we've done in terms of showing those goals around, it's actually been quite positive. Obviously, with Ollie leading the way. But we've missed Jacobs' goals this season because obviously he's not played much, and he was always good for a goal last season. Have we had enough out of a Zaniolo in terms of output? Not really. Have we had enough lately out of a Diaby? Do we need something else which is going to give us something? The thing is Morgan Rodgers' goal return isn't unbelievable in the Championship. So that's the one thing. It's not like he's not got, let's be clear, he's not got what Bidace is doing, Bidace is doing in the Championship in terms of, like, you know, grabbing older games and getting, you know, getting goals and that kind of thing. So I just think if you look at it and go, there's got to be a reason why they're bringing him in. There's got to be a reason.
Exactly. Quick, Steve, quick shout out to you, mate. Good evening from Port Kembla, Australia. Thank you very much for tuning in, mate. Said he's an ex-Holt ender back in the day. He misses the Holt. Look, mate, amazing if you could get over, but thank you for watching. And hopefully next Tuesday night against Newcastle, you see the atmosphere that it brings. Rachel said Emery must see something in Rodgers. Again, from other people's reviews, he's similar in style to Baena and Pino, just not as developed, so could be a cheap homegrown option. Ian says, is he better than Duran? Maybe slightly different profile of player. David, talk about another player in the Championship who we've been linked with. Prefer us to go after Jonathan Rowe from Norwich. If Zaniolo is off, get both Rodgers and Rowe. Scott Taggart says could be Duran out, Rodgers in. He's more like Watkins. And Rub says could be also in view of our homegrown players for the next few years. We are tight in this area. So, yeah, I'm sure there's some sort of reasoning behind it. And let's not forget, like, we've got buyback options in the likes of Bidace and Archer. So you never know what can happen at the end. Textures in the house. Villains, good morning from Jamaica. Breakfast time here. I won't miss much with the crew. Thank you for joining us as well. Amazing stuff. And guys, make sure you do smash the like button, hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel. Like I say, we're going to probably bring these 3-4 times a week. Just a little lunchtime update, just a little chat, me and Kev or anyone else part of the channel, just chewing the fat over the latest goings on.
Rich, before you move on, just a quick one. I just mentioned obviously about the return for Philogene, Bidace and Rodgers, and actually I slightly misspoke there because Philogene's got 6 goals, 5 assists, and Rodgers has got 6 goals and 8 assists. So actually his rate of return is actually slightly better in terms of obviously goal contributions. Jonathan Rowe, for comparison, has got 13 goals, 3 assists. So Jonathan Rowe's at 0.59 goals per 90. Rodgers is at 0.31 and Philogene is at 0.45. So actually Rodgers is the worst in terms of goal return, but his stats aren't too bad. You've also got to question how much game time they've got, what position they're playing, what the system is, how well the team is doing, all of those kind of factors. I don't think either Norwich, Hull or Borough have done as well as they maybe would have wanted to do this season in the league. So it is a test actually of teams. You often get situations with teams at the top of the league, like a Leicester or Southampton, where people naturally are scoring a lot of goals. Well, Hull are 7th, Norwich are 8th, and Middlesbrough are 11th. So you're in a lower sort of top half team, not maybe getting dominated as many games as you want to do, and the return's still pretty good. I think they're looking at the potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to also note, Kev, is that Carrick has been really praised for the way he plays football and what he does with that Middlesbrough team. And it might be that they've seen in Rodgers, positions that he takes up, ways that he passes the ball that would fit better into the Villa setup than, say, a Jonathan Rowe would, or a Philogene Bidace who they've let go. Like maybe they see him, picking up the ball in certain areas and the things that he does being more kind of slotting into the way Villa play more so than say those two players would.
Yeah. Look, he's also a local lad, isn't he? As in,
I mentioned before. Yeah, he used to play for Hallis Hawks. One of the watchers of the pod, Rob, and one of my old mates as well. He messaged me saying that he scored something like 62 goals in the season at under sevens or something, and then West Brom picked him up pretty quick. So
imagine if he got 62 goals in the second half of the Premier League season.
I know that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Got the under 7 days back. That would be brilliant. David said, I think Jaden and Rowe on the wings in the future would be electric. Yeah, I agree. Swagger Records from Jamaica is watching as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Steve said, the difference is years ago, we would be hoping for anyone to come in and second guessing whoever the manager was. This year, we still analyse potential signings, but more than happy to trust the manager, which I think is essentially what you're saying, Kev. Nick Fisher said Emery must see something in Rodgers and we have to trust his judgment. There's no better manager to development young talent than Unai and turning them into something special. And yeah, Rub saying that Rodgers is a little more versatile. So yeah, I think we'll obviously wait and see, mate, on that and see if it gets done. I don't think it's going to get done today because obviously, as I said before, Middlesbrough play Chelsea tonight, which is big game for them and also I guess kind of a tester for us, obviously facing Chelsea on Friday. Be great if it goes to extra time and all that. So we will see. Couple of other bits. Josh Feeney, I think obviously highly rated defender for us. He's going to Real Union on loan. And it looks like 2 or 3 other Villa players are also going to go out there. So I guess this is the first kind of taste of these young players going out to the clubs that Z Sports or Z Sports have got links with. I mean, it's got to be a good thing for the club, hasn't it, in terms of getting these guys experience at abroad and with the clubs that we operate with.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? And it's a really good opportunity to get experience. I mean, there's probably worse places you could go to, isn't there? I think it's in the Basque region. I think it's too far from Andorra, so you could do a bit of snowboarding and, I mean, imagine that. You're a young lad. It's like, do you want to go on loan to, pick a random non-league team or something, or a League Two team, or do you want to go and play in the Spanish third tier and, get a bit of culture? And I think the great thing about this as well is, which often gets overlooked, but in terms of making people rounded characters, look, you've obviously been around the world a little bit, mate. Obviously, I've done the same and develops you, doesn't it, as an individual?
Yeah.
These younger pros who sometimes come through pretty shouted. I know he didn't have the big top club academy background. Obviously, he didn't. He came obviously from a lower league team. There, this can only be good for his development. And look, we can further those ties with these clubs that we're working with. That's lovely, and it helps him out. But ultimately, we want to be getting some stars coming through from a ZFC and from a Real Union coming our way. So hopefully, it can be a mutually beneficial arrangement. But yeah, good news for Feeney, and I hope he goes there and shows those Spanish third tier strikers what he's all about.
Nice. And I guess just to kind of round up, just to finish up, obviously, what have we got? A week and a bit of the window to go. Obviously, we talked the Rodgers deal is still one that could potentially be done. There's news of, I know we've messaged each other back and forth about, Chambers, Dendoncker, Traore, Duran. Like, you've got to think maybe one or two of those go. Does that open up the opportunity for someone to come in, like in those forward positions? A couple of pundits, journalists have still said that they do see like a more forward player, like not necessarily Rodgers, excluding him, but a striker or something coming in. Do you see, like, it looks like there's a real poker playing by clubs at the moment, like no one's making any moves. Do you see it all kind of come into a head like the last couple of days of the window?
Yeah, I can see some things happening. I think there's, it's funny actually. I was talking about taking opportunities today. I was talking to someone at work about you got to be in a position sometimes to take opportunities, and I wasn't even thinking about the Villa at the time. But the reference I actually did was, do you remember that Australian speed skater Stephen Bradbury?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that don't remember him, Google this because it's absolutely unbelievable. Find it on YouTube. So 2002 Winter Olympics I think it was in Salt Lake City in America. The worst speed skater in the final was behind the whole of the race, like in 5th position, and on the very last bend, all 4 of his rivals wiped each other out, and he just came through like this and was like, "Oh my god, I've just won the gold medal." But was it lucky? Yeah, it was. But he was in a position to take it? We've worked so hard over the last year or so with Unai to put ourselves in this position now where if we get to the end of the season, don't win a cup, and don't finish in the top 4, because top 5 doesn't necessarily get what you want, it would feel like an underachievement. Now, sure, finishing 5th or 6th and getting to a cup final is improvement on the year before. But I look at the league, I look at the teams around it, and I'm not really bothered. Everyone's waxing lyrical about Liverpool, but I don't think they're as good as they were 2-3 years ago under that first team clock. They've obviously got injuries. They're playing pretty well right now. They dispatched Bournemouth in the way that probably we should be doing that to teams if we really want to show we can compete. And I think they are better than us. I think Man City are better than us. I think Arsenal are probably better than us. But everything else is up for grabs. So I look at this situation now and think, are the club going to, within the boundaries of obviously FFP and the profit and sustainability rules, are they going to roll the dice a little bit where they can? But clearly, they'll be working in the background trying to say, who wants Big Daddy Dunks and Chambers and Traore? Where can we get these players out to free up the space? It would be a missed opportunity for me if we didn't bring in somebody to really kick that on. But I would be not surprised at all if it's Morgan Rodgers, Kosta Nedeljkovic.
Yes.
And that's it. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me as well.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, but it equally wouldn't surprise me if we get, the players that are touted around the Smith Rowes of this world. I know Phillips looks like he's going to West Ham, but the type of players that are kind of higher level that are getting touted around because they're not getting regular football that we don't I wouldn't be surprised if we don't bid for them if we put in some sort of bid for one of them, especially if we do get rid of 2 or 3 of those players, because you think getting rid of 2 or 3 of those fringe players and bringing in one marquee, loan signing or marquee kind of signing, however we want to structure it, would be, if you move on as Zaniolo and you get Rodgers in and then you get another big name in just to kind of inspire the players, then you think, right, okay, that could be done. So none of the elements surprise me, but yeah, it'd just be interesting to see over the coming days. But yeah, great that we've got one signing through the door. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit longer to wait for him to start, but I'm sure we'll be monitoring him, and yeah, we'll see what happens with the Rodgers deal, especially after, hopefully, it goes to extra time, penalties, as Steve says. Chelsea are shattered for Friday, and Middlesbrough end up winning, which would be amazing.
I never wish anything bad on any human beings, but I wouldn't mind a couple of low-level muscle injuries for the Chelsea players. Just maybe
Gusto's out. That left back's out, apparently.
Yeah. Yes, as you know, I sprained my ankle. I might be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Impacting my football massively each week. I'm sure, lols. But I don't know, just maybe a slight hamstring tweak for one of their players, a little calf strain, nothing too excessive, but just maybe out for 4 or 5 days. Just enough for the Villa. Look, it's a big opportunity for us. FA Cup, you get to the 5th round, you knock out another big team, then again, anything's possible. The other thing we've got to talk about just quickly before we go is we've obviously dropped off a bit lately, right? You know, obviously we didn't beat Man United from a 2-0 head start, half time. We didn't beat Sheffield United. We couldn't beat Everton. These are the kind of games you're thinking you kind of got to get wins. And it feels like a little bit like our momentum. Remember when we were beating West Ham and Brighton, you know, by 6 goals, and Everton by 4 goals, and West Ham by 4 goals? You know, all those that momentum felt really good. It feels like the momentum's dropped off a little bit, and I feel like we need to get that momentum going because momentum in football is massive. Let's be clear. You're 3-0 up in a game. You concede a goal. You think, oh, crikey, we're going to lose. You know, it's all psychological, isn't it? I think if we can get a win against Chelsea, if we can get a win against Newcastle, who are
that kickstarts. That kickstarts. Yeah,
you're back, aren't you? You're back. And I just look at the way they talk about other teams. You know, particularly the media.
They just completely miss Villa out of the top 4 conversation.
Also, well, Arsenal beat obviously decent win the other day against Palace, and obviously Arsenal are back now. They're showing their mettle. It's like if we beat someone 4-5-0, would they do the same? So, carpe diem time for Villa now.
Absolutely, and I mean the good thing about the kind of results across the weekend, yes, Arsenal won, yes, Liverpool won, which we expect, but you know the likes of West Ham drew, obviously Newcastle lost to Man City, Brighton and Wolves drew. So it shows that these teams, no matter who they are, will drop points across the rest of this season. And it's just whether we can capitalize and continue to hold firm and continue to stay strong. And I guess, like you said, I was really frustrated. I was really disappointed with, you know, the result against Everton, and obviously off the back of the previous results. But sometimes it could be said that that point could be a massive point for us if we take that season as a whole later on. But we will see. Kev, let's round that up. Great little first show, Lunchtime Live. Great numbers watching. Thank you all wherever you're tuning in from. We've had Australia, we've had Jamaica, we've had sunny Torquay. Amazing for everyone getting on board. And we'll be probably back on Thursday, either myself and Kev or whoever from the channel. We'll obviously have the Chelsea game as well to chat about on that front. But yeah, join us again. Little half-hour show. Just rounding up the news, as I said. It will be adding to our usual shows as well, so bringing you even more to the channel. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.